Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here to give you your daily dose of the roars as I scream about the world of technology in order to get some money from YouTube so I can provide free to the end user education in Durham, North Carolina. We do in-person classes in Durham. If you're interested, take a look at our schedule at silicondojo.com. If you want to help support those particular classes, there is a donor box link down below. And, oh, golly, I've been trying to figure out the Ballad of Nexperia. I've been trying to figure out what this ballad, what TV show is the metaphor for this, right? Is it Lost, right? Where you watch it for 5 years and then you get to the 5th season and you're just like, what the hell did I just spend 5 years watching? Or is it like Battlestar Galactica? They go through all of this amazing stuff and then they become potato farmers. You're like, wait, what? We just went through all of those stories. We just went through all that amazing sci-fi. And the end is they become potato farmers. Is it Longmire, where it was going along pretty well until it just really got really nasty and brutal and just fucking disgusting? What I actually think this might be like is, what is it called? The Ring of Time? Is it the Ring of Time? The Wheel of Time. I think the Ballad of Nexperia might be the Wheel of Time, where one day you just don't turn it on again. It wasn't particularly bad. It also wasn't particularly great. You're like, oh, look, there's a new season of The Wheel of Time. And then you just don't watch it. I think that's how Nexperia is going to end. So I've been talking about Nexperia for a while. It has been a complete and utter disaster. And it seemed like it was getting resolved. But it's the Europeans. It's the Europeans. Oh dear, Mr. Fong. Mr. Fong. I apologize, Mr. Fong. You misunderstood the slant of my videos. I am not insulting Chinese people. In fact, Mr. Fong, I am insulting the shit out of Europeans. Oh, anyways, good old Mr. Fong. So we thought this whole Nexperia disaster was over. Because the Netherlands, the Dutch, basically said they dropped their case against Nexperia, right? So at the end of September, the Netherlands seized Nexperia, which is a Chinese-owned technology company, or they seized the headquarters of Nexperia because of stuff. After that happened, the Chinese government basically shut down exports of the finished goods out of China that Nexperia was creating, and a whole brouhaha happened. Right? As I've talked about before, the Dutch minister that was responsible for this disaster happening literally came out and said he'd do it all again. Do it all again. This is how fucking stupid the fucking Europeans are. At this point, my honest to God belief is that Europeans go home at the end of the day and they lick the fucking walls. That's the only way I can grasp how stupid this shit is. Literally, because basically with this Nexperia chips, right, these chips are used in almost all auto manufacturing. So the first plant that had major issues was actually a Honda plant in Mexico. So like when China shut down the export of these finished products, it wasn't like it just hit Europe or just hit the Netherlands. No, everybody got screwed, right? Right? This Dutch minister, this fucking Dutch fucking wall licker, literally came out and stated he'd do it all over in the entire crap show that happened. Anyways, after he came out and said that, it did come out that the Dutch had surrendered, that the Dutch were backing off. The government was giving back Nexperia to the Chinese owners. So hopefully the story was going to be over, right? Hopefully that was going to be the end of the story. You're going to get to the end of it. You're going, oh, that was an interesting story. I kind of thought it would go different at the end, but fair enough. But no. Apparently this story is so good that it's been renewed for another season. And it's just going to keep going. So what's going on now is apparently it's like the Dutch have stopped their intervention in a way, but like not really. This is just getting stupid. Anyways, Nexperia's Chinese owner vows to use all legal means to take back control of chipmaker. And like, if you read this, like I read this morning, you're like, oh, this is an old article, right? This is an article from before, because the Dutch government has already given Nexperia back to the Chinese company. But no, this is November 21st, and this is November 21st. This isn't from before. This is the continuing disaster here. So WingTech Technology, the Chinese owner of Dutch chip maker Nexperia, said it will use all possible legal means to take back control of the company, putting pressure on the Dutch government to do more to restore the rights of the Chinese shareholder. But wait a minute, I thought the Dutch gave it back. I'm confused. In a statement published a day after the Dutch government's decision to suspend its intervention in Nexperia. So it's important to understand here. So the Dutch did suspend their intervention in Nexperia. Shanghai-listed WingTech said the ruling made by the Dutch Enterprise Chamber on October 7th, which deprived WingTech of shareholder control and ousted former CEO Zhang Zhuiheng, was still in effect. So the decision is still in effect, or the ruling is in effect, even with the decision has been suspended. Quote, the control of Nexperia has not yet returned to its legitimate owner, WingTech said in a Chinese language statement. Quote, the restrictions and infringements upon the lawful rights and the interests of the Chinese shareholders and personnel continue to persist. WingTech said the Dutch government's revocation of an executive order was only the first step towards a solution, and the Dutch Ministry of Economic Affairs had to do more to return the situation to the status before the Dutch authority took action. The statement came as Nexperia's Dutch headquarters in Nijmegen and its China operations have been in an open spat, threatening the stability of the chip supplies to global chip makers. Lawyers and legal experts said they expected a prolonged legal fight as WingTech was trying to challenge the decision made by the Dutch Enterprise Chamber, a court. Zhang, who is also the founder of WingTech, remained suspended. So he's still suspended and was not acting as a CEO, Nexperia's headquarters said in its latest statement. Meanwhile, WingTech's voting rights in Nexperia were still under the control of an independent administrator appointed by the Dutch court. So the Dutch are like, hey, we gave the company back to the Chinese, except the CEO is not back in his position. And WingTech still doesn't have voting rights. But we gave it back. Fuck me. The Chinese company said it was continuing to work with an international law firm to seek, quote, legal remedies and would take all legal means to safeguard its legitimate interest. Let's see, lawyers at Van Beel and Bellis, a law firm based in Brussels and London that is not involved in the case, said WingTech could, quote, file a recourse to the Dutch Supreme Court to undo the ruling of the business court, but it would be a review of legal procedure only, as it was not possible to re-examine the facts of the case, they said. Weird. According to WingTech's statement, the Dutch Economic Affairs Ministry pushed the court to make the decision to seize control of Nexperia and kick Zhang off its board, quote, without giving the Chinese owner a reasonable opportunity to present its case. And that does appear to be the case, where this all happened relatively quickly and basically the property was taken. The whole legal process could take well more than 2 years. 2 years to the VBB lawyers. This could include proceedings before the Dutch Supreme Court for around a year, another 6 to 12 months for the case to be sent back to an appellate court, assuming the Supreme Court annulled the Dutch Enterprise Chamber's decision, and several weeks or months to restore governance rights if WingTech wins, they said. Sing Laws Lu said a court challenge could be a marathon taking 3.5 years or even longer. So yeah, boys and girls, I'm sorry. This whole story might be a bit like the Wheel of Time, where at some point I just stopped talking about it because I've just gotten tired. But yeah, this appears to be the continuing idiocy of what is going on. And it is interesting to see like what people say and what you think words mean, and then realizing what is actually occurring is not what you thought based off of those particular words, right? So if you hear the Dutch have stopped their seizure or whatever of Nexperia, you figure, okay, I mean, for whatever it's worth, then that's over. And they're like, well, no, they stopped the seizure, but the CEO still doesn't have his job, and WingTech still doesn't have their voting rights. So we're not seizing your company, we're just controlling it. Fuck me, these wall lickers. Dear Europeans, stop licking walls. Stop licking walls. What the fuck is wrong with you people? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much further this goes. So the big thing that we've heard is from auto manufacturers is supposedly being able to get these chips. This whole process is supposed to be getting a lot easier. But the Chinese seem a little bit skittish. Whatever the hell is going on, Chinese government too. So all of that could be rolled back, and this is jeopardizing, right? The Dutch right now are so fucking out of their goddamn minds. They are literally jeopardizing the global supply of automobiles over this complete and utter idiocy. And we will see how this continues. The other thing, one of the articles I'm going to be talking about in a little bit, is where Europe is literally now trying to say that they're going to decouple from China. So we start talking about macro forces. Normally talk about macroeconomic forces, but when we start talking about macro political forces, what happens when the push for Europe to decouple from China gets accelerated while this disaster is ongoing? Will the Dutch ministers, will the Dutch politicians feel like optically for their constituents they have the ability to back down? Or are they going to harden their positions to prove how strong they really are? I don't know. This whole idiocy is going to be getting a hell of a lot worse. So what do you think about this with the Ballad of Nexperia? What television show does it remind you of? Again, Battlestar Galactica, Lost, one of those shows you just stop watching in the middle because you kind of got bored of it. I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and put a strong American comment down below. Do you remember I do these videos in order to fund Silicon Dojo, authority-less, gatekeeper-less, free to end-user, hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. If you're interested in attending a class, take a look at our schedule at silicondojo.com. If you want to support what I do, there's a donor box link down below. And with that, see y'all later.